All right, my friends, welcome to High Performance Habits Book Club Day 8. And so the high performance habit number 5 I talked about is developing influence. So the three habits there are three actions within that. Teach people how to think, challenge people to grow, and role model the way. And then influence basics that kind of the main things that I took away was just ask, right? Sometimes I think that myself included, we get so caught up, in our mind here and kind of sometimes imagine the worst. When all we got to do is ask, and you never know. It could be that they've been waiting for you to ask whatever that question is, right? And then the second takeaway that I had for this was to be a giver. And I've really found that, I think that serves me well is, that if I focus on how can I give and how can I serve, that's a pretty good model and way for me to develop influence. So. Next tab here, and I didn't put the page number exactly. It has a ultimate influence model on one of the pages there, so I just took a screenshot of that and inserted it here. And so it has a Venn diagram that has in the middle there role model, model the way, right? Teach people how to think of themselves, how to think of others, and how to think of the world. And then on the other side of the Venn diagram, he has challenge people to grow and contribute. Challenge character aspects, so develop character, connections, and contributions. And I realize that maybe my video overlay here is kind of teaching us, but so practice 1, teach people how to think. High performers, often you'll hear them use phrases like, and he has a bunch of lists on that page there, but a few of them that I took away were, think of it this way, right? And you'll hear them say, what do you think about, and then whatever that is, and then how should we approach, whatever XYZ problem it is, right? And then at the end of this section, he has the performance prompts. So I went on ahead and wrote those down and answered them the way that I would answer them. So number 1, someone in my life I would like to influence more is my business partners and my clients. Really, my business really is all about influence, right? And in order to get people results, whether if it's in their health and fitness or in their business or anything like that, I have to be able to develop influence in order to get them to take action, right? Number 2 on performance prompts, the way I would like to influence them is how to think about their business. Maybe it's a different way that they had never considered before, and then taking action by realizing their hidden priorities. And so when I talk about hidden priorities, I mean kind of those wasted moments of time, those pockets of time where they say that they don't have time to work out, right? And it's like, well, what else are you doing? How many hours of TV are you watching, right? There's always room, right? You can always squeeze something in. If they don't have time to do personal development or reading, it's like, well, how much do you drive per day, right? For me, I have an hour commute total, at least, right? So that's a good opportunity to put in an audiobook, right? So things like that, right? There's all these hidden pockets of time. So anyways, on to number 3. If I could tell them how to think of themselves, I would say they are doing great, that they are more than enough, and then I would challenge them to be more creative and take action on the things within our business that are the needle movers, right? Or if it's within their fitness, right, to to take action on the things that are going to make the biggest difference. So things like getting enough sleep, right, is number one. Number two is going to be your nutrition aspect. And then number three is to get moving, right? So things along those lines, right? And everything else is really, and even in the business, right? Other things are just a distraction, right? So, and then it goes on, two more performance prompts, I think, for this section. Number 4, if I could tell someone how they should think of other people, I would tell them most people are too concerned with their own issues to really care about what you're doing, right? Within our business, there's a lot of mental things that you have to kind of overcome, right? Kind of getting uncomfortable, inviting people to different groups and stuff like that. And whether if it's a mastermind, right? Or if it's a fitness group or even, inviting to be a business partner, it might be something that they're kind of uncomfortable with, right? And until they get used to that and kind of develop those skills, you kind of have to get uncomfortable, right? And then as you develop that and you start to be comfortable with it and everything, and then, you develop some skills there and you start to get confidence, right? And then you start to do a little bit more. And then, the next thing you know, that something that took a lot of energy and a lot of mental willpower to overcome, right? Then it becomes just like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for a while and you're okay with it. And now you can do more even, right? So, all right, number 5. If I could tell them how they should think of the world in general, I would say build belief and focus on what you want to attract. And so with that, I mean that, have you ever noticed you buy a car, right? And then all of a sudden you notice that, hey, everybody has like an Infiniti or something like that, right? Or some truck or 150, and then you notice, hey, everybody's got a 150, right? And it's like that was never there before. Well, it's the same sort of thing when you think of kind of the world, right? If you think of, especially, and this is why I don't watch the news at all, or read it or anything like that, or any sort of CNN news pages or anything like that. I block it all. And it's because whatever you tend to focus on is what you tend to see. So, if I watch the news and everything, they sensationalize and they point out all the bad stuff and war and child abuse and, whatever other thing might be going on negative in the world. That's all I'm going to see, right? And how can you possibly expect to see the world as a positive place where people are generally good and just want what is best, right? And that we're all connected? How are you possibly supposed to see that if you're constantly being fed that sort of garbage? So, all right. Practice number 2, challenge people to grow. And so a few takeaways that I had from this one: positively frames challenges with clear intention. Let's see. Yeah. That's not the right word. Positively frame challenge. I don't remember exactly what that one. Oh, challenge. Okay, challenge people to grow, right? So challenge like their character, right, in a positive way. That's what that one was. So I'll have to reword that one. But and then things such as like statements like this is good. How could we possibly make it even better, right? I use that quite a bit, right? Of like, I really like this. This is a great job. What are your other ideas, right, to improve this? So that's kind of challenging them in a positive way to grow, right? And then who can you work with on this, right? So that encourages teamwork, right? Within information technology and stuff like that, and even with my business, there's a lot of things that require teamwork, right? And across teams and across organizations and stuff like that, and even with my business, maybe it's not within my business, but within another business, right? But we still work collaboratively for the benefit of everybody, right? Okay, performance prompts. So let's see. So this one's a lengthy one. So it talks about think about the person in your life you're trying to influence positively, and complete the following sentences. So there's a number of questions here. So I was generally thinking of like business partners and stuff like that, or potential business partners, right? I didn't really think of a specific person or anything like that. So so character, number one, the person I am trying to influence has the following character strengths. So number one, their positivity. Number two, they have consistency. And number three, they're confident, right? They're confident in their, and I think that I talked about this earlier, right? They're confident in their ability to figure things out, right? And they're not afraid to try things, and to, be imperfect and to fail and just keep moving, right? And figure out what is going to work for them. So, because it's not the same for everybody. All right, number two, she could become a stronger person if she had more clarity, right? And we talked about that in the first section, that I think that, and I think this is true for myself, right? I ask this every day, those performance prompts questions, right? Of who is it that I'm trying to influence today? How can I serve greatly today? That sort of stuff, right? What is it that I want in the next 3, 6 months, 12 months down the road? And then still on character, number three, she is probably too hard on herself in this area. And I really was it took me a little bit to think on this one, right? And I was thinking, I'm like, well, what is it for me? And I think that's not taking the time to recognize and celebrate the wins, right? And I actually just started a new habit here on my own, and I'm calling it the Book of Proof. And so for invitations and stuff like that for people that are interested in being a business partner, right, and stuff like that, and people that get started down their fitness journey, right, I'm tracking those better and actually putting those wins down in writing, so in that way I can go back to it sometime when it feels like nothing is coming about and nothing's going my way, right, the business is slow or whatever it might be, that I can look back on these wins and I can say, that's right, I have come a long way, and my team has come a long ways, and we've made progress and we've made strides in these areas, right? So I think that's a good one. So anyways, number 4, if I could tell her how to improve who she is, I would tell her identify the limiting self-talk, right? I think that we all have that somewhere. Maybe we're not totally aware of it, right? And you have to develop that within the Headspace app to talk about it, small mind versus big mind, right? So your small mind is kind of that voice in your head, right? And then the big mind is the awareness of it, right? You're aware of that voice that's in your head that's saying who you think you are, right? You can't do that. Start to become aware of it so then you can identify it. So then identify those necessary skills that you need to develop, whether if it's leadership or maybe it's a technical skill, right? Of like how to do a webinar, right? Something like that, or even posting, figuring out Instagram and how all that stuff works, right? So, or maybe it's developing self-confidence, right? So figure out what that limiting belief is, what that self-talk is, identify the necessary skills, and then go out there and find the best resources to help develop those areas, right? And to develop those skills. I talked about that earlier in the book, I believe, of it's not necessarily about the skills that you're strong at and that you're best at. It's about developing the skills that you're going to need for whatever it is that you want to do, right? And then take imperfect action. When you do that, it's going to build confidence. And then as you build confidence, then you're going to build confidence, and then you're going to build competence, right? And then you're going to do some more, and then you're going to have a little more confidence, right? And then a little more competence with it, right? It's like when I first started switching over to this platform, right? I was doing videos on my iPad, right? And then I developed it, now into like this whole recording studio on my Mac, right? And I didn't know how to do that, right? I had to kind of fumble my way through it, right? So same sort of deal, right? All right, performance prompts. So this one, it goes into still on character. So number 5, If I could inspire her to want to be a better person, I'd probably say something like, so I was just thinking along the lines of like a project or like ideas, right? I really love that idea that you have. What are the next steps that you will have done by our next meeting, right? And so then that way it puts a time frame on it, right? And so then that way it causes them to actually take action on their idea. And I'm guilty of this too, right? It's like so many times I'll have these great ideas, and I'll even jot them down into a notebook, and then I don't take action on them. So I think that for like a business partner or something like that, the best thing that I could do for them is to make sure that they're being accountable for their ideas and keeping them moving forward. Even if it doesn't work, that doesn't matter, right? You learn what works and what doesn't, and then you just keep moving forward. Maybe you just need to little tweak it, right? And we come back and we say, oh, that didn't quite work out the way that we thought it would, but what else could we try next, right? And then we brainstorm, and then we come up with something else, and then she tries it, and then the next week we come back and say, what were the results, right? How did that look? So, all right, so performance prompts, still thinking of a person and developing influence and stuff like that. So connection. Let me get some water here. Sorry, guys. All right, connection. The way I want this person to interact differently with others is to be bold, be confident, and to just ask, right? Like I said, get out of your head and just ask, like whoever it is and whatever it is that you're thinking of, right? Whether if you're, maybe you're wanting to, do your own book club like this, right? Or you have some sort of a business that you're looking for a partner, right? You just go out and ask the person. You never know what could develop. The worst thing they're going to do is they're going to say, no thanks. Or maybe they don't even respond. Okay, right? It's not as bad as you'd think. All right, number 2. Often this person doesn't connect as well with others as I would like because he, again, hesitant to ask, right? Get out of your head, ask. Add value, add massive value, earn the right to ask, right? All right, my voice is trying to go out here. Sorry, guys. Number 3, what would inspire this person to treat other people better is to think of what message they want to convey and how they would like to serve greatly, right? And okay, so contribution is the next performance prompts. I told you there was quite a few in this section, so I'll try and get through them here. We're almost towards the end. So number 1, the greatest contribution this person is making is teaching others how to think, right? So whether if it's through like a book club like this, or maybe it's an Instagram live or something like that they do, or Instagram TV, right? Through their social media, they're influencing people through their actions and stuff like that, where they see them working out and stuff like that, and transformations and eating right and stuff like that, or maybe it's a lot of like mindset stuff. They're sharing what they're learning and they're reading and stuff like that. So, and then number 2, the areas where this person is isn't contributing well enough are, and I really couldn't think of exactly what this one would be, so I turned it and flipped it on myself, right? And it's probably, for me, it would be local community, right? I try and volunteer when I can. It's pretty difficult in time right now, right? And I know that I even identify that, that's an excuse. And so I would say, it's not a priority for me right now, but yet I realize that it's important. And it's important to be around those same sort of people, right, that have this spirit of service, right, and stuff like that, and the different connections and stuff, and just being around those kind of like-minded people is really important. So, and then number 3, what I really want this person to contribute more of is just experimenting with their ideas, right? Just like we talked about, you come up with an idea that you think might work, right, for the month, whatever your marketing idea is, or whatever it is that you come up with. Well, let's give it a try. Let's run with it, right? That's the exciting stuff to me. All right, next section, contribution. Number 1, the greatest contribution this person is making, teaching others how to think, teaching them how to grow, right? Influencing them. Number 2, the areas this person is isn't contributing well enough are local community. Did I already answer this one? I got a duplicate. Sorry about that. I'm going to fix that now. There we go. All right, sorry about that. All right, number 3. So practice number 3, role model the way. High performers think a lot about how they can role model the way. There we go. Yeah, so that was kind of my takeaway, right? Is they're constantly thinking every day about how can they be a role model, right? And I found that that's true for me anyways, is I'm always thinking about, like, on my social media presence and stuff like that. How can I be a positive influence? How can I role model, right? And then performance prompts. So move that out of the way. Number 1, if I were going to approach my relationship and career as an even better role model, the first thing I would start doing are, and this one I've been thinking about for quite a bit here, and I think that's hosting weekly live Zoom calls. So I could do sessions, like live sessions, right? Kind of like this, of like, and whether if it's on Zoom or maybe it's an Instagram TV or an Instagram Live, YouTube Live, right? Like all these different things and everything, and then do kind of like these lessons like I'm doing here. I think that might be a good way to add value and to role model. So. And then along the lines of, health and fitness, I could do stuff like that, or, for business partners and stuff like that, right? And then our whole team could leverage, what we're doing there together. So number 2, someone who really needs me to lead and be a strong role model right now is, again, business partners, right? Kind of leading the way. Number 3, some ideas on how I can be a role model for that person are model consistency and imperfect action, right? You've seen that, on these always aren't perfect or anything like that, right? Or they're not totally dialed in and stuff like that, but that's okay, right? It's more important to get something out there and then perfect it and develop it as you go along. So. Number 3, some ideas on how I can be a role model for that person's are model consistency and imperfect action, like I just said. Okay, so I'll skip over that one since I already read it. Number 4, if 10 years from now, the 5 closest people to me in my life were to describe me as role model, I would hope they would say things like, I would hope that they would say, he helped me to think differently. And that our family is forever grateful, and that we would never have had opportunities we have today, right? And I'm thinking along the lines of business partners and entrepreneurship, right? And kind of starting your own business and all these books that we read and all these resources that we have and skills that we develop, right? And becoming better people. So, and then working on my wealth, because he inspired me, right? And that's what we're all about, right? Is that creating another revenue stream while you're working full time. You can still be working on your wealth part time, right? And be making 6 figures, right? Putting that into retirement, putting that into a college fund, right? Whatever, I don't know what your goals are, right? You could totally be doing that, paying off your mortgage, right? Stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing that really gets me fired up and excited, right? Is, it's one thing for me to do those things when I can influence and empower other people to do that same thing. That's pretty damn cool. So, all right. So that's our last slide. This one was a little bit of a long one. I know that, so apologize for that. It was a pretty big chunk of a chapter, but I think this was a pretty good one. So hope you had some good takeaways there. Hopefully you're enjoying the book here. I hope that this session has served you well. At the end of the day, that's my ultimate goal, is to serve you. So hope you got some things out of that. As you finish this section, or again, wherever section you're at, when you're done with watching this, go on ahead and scribble down some notes. If you want to make a short video and upload it like that, that's cool too. So I just look forward to hearing from you guys, and give me some feedback. Whether it's through this group or through just a private DM, I would really love to hear from you, hear what you think, and we will talk to you soon. I will probably do another session. I'm thinking like Wednesday. That seems to be a pretty good pace for me. Hopefully it's a good pace for everybody else. I know everything's crazy busy right now, and nothing ever seems to slow down. So anyways, have a fantastic weekend, guys, and we will talk to you soon. All right.